What's up everybody, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be discussing Meta's new standalone headset announced at Meta Connect, the Quest 3. Being a part of the Quest Creator Program allowed me to get my grummy little mitts on the device early. That in combination with all of the info provided at Meta Connect, I am excited to share my thoughts as well as some of my concerns. Now that the pre-order is available, the official specs for the Quest 3 have been shared on their website. I'm not going to be touching on all of them, but feel free to pause the video right now and read them to yourself. The notable specs are the new Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2. This will allow for higher resolution textures and more reliability in games. It also is what provides the necessary power for processing all of the new mixed reality features coming to the Quest 3. The lenses from the Quest 2 have been ditched for the pancake lenses showcased on the Quest Pro. The FOV has been increased by about 15 degrees from the Quest 2, which sounds minimal but actually improves immersion drastically. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention, which I don't hear talked about enough, is the improved RAM. Boasting a pretty staggering 33% upgrade, the faster RAM is very noticeable when it comes to switching between apps, general homepage navigation. It basically makes all the scuffed in-between stuff from the Quest 2 feel so much smoother, having all of that extra memory to use. With general specs out of the way, I think it's time to give my holistic remarks. For starters, this headset is miles above the Quest 2 from a pure comfort side, which is why I think it's so much more bizarre that the battery life is much worse, going from 3 hours on the Quest 2 down to 2.2 hours on the Quest 3. And that's just for normal gaming. If you're using mixed reality, don't expect much more than 1.5 hours of total playtime. I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand why that is. Meta wanted to cut on both cost and weight, so in turn, a smaller battery had to be used. They also wanted more computing and better visuals, so more power consumption. I understand the battery's lifespan, it just feels like such a shame because I could genuinely see myself wearing this device with the default head strap for hours. And I mean that. The decreased weight, decrease in the lever effect, plus the additional strap creating the Y on your head, removed a majority of the comfort problems I had with the Quest 2. I still believe that a Pro head strap is a necessity if you plan to spend a lot of time in your Quest 3. However, just a baseline, I think it is much better than the Quest 2. However, I would say don't fret too much about the short lifespan of about 1.5 hours while playing mixed reality, because in my opinion, you probably will not be using it much anyway. I tried 3 demos with mixed reality, and to put it plainly, 2 of the 3 aren't even worth your time. The unfortunate part is those 2 are the ones that are part of a full put together game. The one and only one that I enjoyed was First Encounters, which is basically just a tech demo of what MR could be. I will probably receive a lot of flame for saying this, but I don't get the major appeal of Meta's take on MR. I believe MR has its place and is good for general consumers, but Meta's version seems so far off base in my opinion. For me, an MR game is COD Zombies in my house. If I could roam around my entire house and play COD Zombies in real life, with my real windows being the in-game zombie barricades that the zombies come in through, and different rooms requiring unlocks in order for me to go get new weapons as well as opening up new invasion points, that is what I would consider a valid reason to use MR. Sadly, that is not what is coming to the Quest 3 yet. There are bits of that for sure, but the vast majority is not that innovative. At Connect, they boasted about the hundreds of titles implementing MR with the release of the Quest 3, and I can almost guarantee that means they are adding a pass-through background. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let's shift our attention over to one of Meta's new flagship MR games, BAM. A decent tabletop VR game, so why are they pushing it so hard? Well, it uses MR, of course. Well, no, it got a pass-through background, and that's about it. The game doesn't interact with anything from your environment, merely overlaying in front of a pass-through background, which sure is kinda cool, but feels more like a gimmick than an actual addition to game design. I'm not a hater of BAM. I just don't believe it's utilizing MR in any meaningful way besides draining battery. Now let's say that the game arena was fixed to a certain point for all headset users in the same room, and that different parts of the arena had walls that blocked line of sight. and that when you picked up certain power-ups, players could then throw like ink at other people's headsets in order to blind them. Now that would require the players to physically move and look around within their space in order to see the whole board as well as interact with the other players. Not only does this actually give a purpose to the MR, it also justifies the use of a headset. Because to be blunt, this game is just a classic 3D King of the Hill punch and run game. It doesn't require XR headset, and in fact, there are similar games to it that are, in my opinion, better and more fun on the flat screen. The big push from Meta is that mixed reality allows you to see the reactions of those around you as well as being present in your space while playing these type of games. Well, if I can play this type of game on a flat screen, I can stay present in my space and see those around me. So if you're not going to innovate on what the medium of XR has to offer, then you don't need MR, you can just play flat screen. Which is why a simple addition like this is what makes all the difference in creating good fundamental XR titles. I know it feels like I've been on a bit of a tangent with this game, but it's a great example of my biggest issue with the Quest line as a whole. Put simply, Meta's push for acquisition over customer retention. For those of you who do not know business terminology, that basically means they're trying to get new customers versus retaining the current users of their Quest headsets. But from a business side, this makes complete sense. They're in a race with every other XR company out there in order to capture a market share that doesn't even fully exist yet. And they're doing everything within their power to do it. From hardware development to software collabs and acquisitions, they're trying to control that bit of the market. I mean, Roblox is a perfect example. Sure, it's janky right now, but little kids don't really mind, and the longer it's on the Quest platform, the more development that will be going into Quest experience production. But short term, this sucks for us consumers. We get a ton of half-baked experiences, jank from still in production apps, and overall feeling that Meta doesn't really care about us. The general trend of big IPs and names, which are what is getting funding right now, has just led to formulaic and seen before experiences. XR is a brand new medium. There should be innovation when it comes to designing apps for these devices. But when working with big IP, risk-taking just isn't allowed. What I've learned from working with both big and small brands, as the brand name gets bigger, the less creative freedoms I have when making my videos. This is just speculation because I've never made a game before in my life, but I am willing to bet that this is likely the same thing in the game industry. When developing a game with a big, large IP, they're probably not allowed to take risks, which is why it feels that we're not getting any new big innovation from any big companies. It feels like we're getting the same old slob, and that's just because the big companies aren't the ones who are willing to take the risks, it's those smaller indie devs, which is why XR still feels small in its current stage, and which is why it feels like we're going through a bit of a content drought all of the time. Which is why I'm super excited for what comes with Asgard's Wrath 2, because I feel like this will be very innovative as well as being pushed with mainstream money. However, I have not had the opportunity or pleasure of trying Asgard's Wrath 2 yet, which is why I will just have to wait to give my opinion on that. Tangent aside, should you get a Quest 3? Well, in my opinion, if you have the spare change lying around and you use your headset at least once a week, then definitely. The Quest 3 is an overall upgrade from the Quest 2 in terms of performance and visuals, as well as the fact that owning a Quest 3 will future-proof you for likely the next 5 years. Now let's say that you don't have a lot of spare change. If you have a Quest 1, then I definitely think you should upgrade. You will be shocked to see how much you were missing sticking with your Quest 1. And if you have a Quest 2, my best advice is to wait. Don't pre-order. But if you do, please use my link down in the description. It helps a lot. Thanks. Back to my point. But seriously, go ahead and wait. They are still planning to sell Quest 2s, which is a really good sign. That means that you will still continue to receive OS updates, and apps, for the most part, will have backwards compatibility. So in my opinion, don't fork out the $500 just yet for what currently just feels like an arguably much better, more comfortable, and better running headset when the one you own is already great. Give it a few months. See if the new mixed reality stuff really appeals to you, then if you're feeling it, go ahead and save up. At the end of the day, you won't be disappointed if you get a Quest 3. The physical device itself is phenomenal. I just believe that the software has some catching up to do. But that's just me. I'm just a dude giving his take on the internet. Do your own research. Please watch other videos. Don't take mine as gospel. But if you enjoyed, a like would be greatly appreciated. And if I helped you at all figure out what you want to do, leave a comment down below whether or not you think you're going to pre-order. If you do plan to pre-order, once again, if you use my link down in the description, that would be a huge help. Thanks all. Make sure you subscribe if you want to hear more updates, as I get to try things like Asgard's Wrath 2. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody. Bye.